Parenting is hard. Few of us feel up to the task. The world is shifting, quickly and dramatically. All of us feel the changes affecting our families. The stress and pressure can be intense. We are here to help sort the good and the bad, provide insight, and bring hope. Welcome to Brilliantly Brave Parenting. We're so glad you stopped by.
Hi, I'm Pastor Brad Mathias, and I want to welcome you to our third episode of Season 4 of Brilliantly Brave Parenting. I'm here with my sidekick and co-host, Robert Beeson.
So demeaning.
Always, yes.
I'm happy to be your sidekick.
Well, I'm happy to be your co-host. So
Excellent. Well, I'm excited about this interview today.
yeah, so describe for our audience, where are we at? What are we doing? This is a little out of our norm.
We are at a house that was built in the 1800s here in Franklin, Tennessee, and it is now the recording, I don't know what you call it, hub of the legendary Michael W. Smith. And
Yes.
so we are beyond thrilled to have you with us, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome to Brilliantly Brave Parenting, Michael. It is an honor to have you on our show.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been getting to know an old friend of yours, Joey Ciccolini. Do you call him Joey or Joe?
I call him lots of things.
Okay.
I call him the Cheech.
Cheech. All right.
Joey. Hey, Joey.
Hey, Joey.
Hey, Joey.
Yeah, all right.
You know, hey.
Well, I get the blessing of being Joey's pastor.
Yep.
So I've gotten to know him and Ann and their family over the last few years. So I've heard a lot of stories about life on the road with you. And one thing that always resonated with me is that you're the real deal, that there's an authenticity to your faith, that you're not just a superstar, that there's something behind you. And as I got to sort of talk with Joey and get to know a little bit more about him, there's something real about him too, isn't there?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, he's got a real and genuine faith. And so I think for our audience, as we walk through life, one of the greatest legacies that we could leave our kids is the legacy of an authentic faith. Mm-hmm. Not a perfect faith, not one that's totally dialed in all the time, but one that's genuine and true and something that's been modeled to them. Mm-hmm. And so as I look at your career, I look at what you've done and the millions of lives that God's used you to touch. Let me just say thanks for that. Thanks for being faithful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
It's been a remarkable journey
So
that I could not have orchestrated, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I think there's a lot of people who are always looking for the next thing or the next new idea that's coming around. And as I've watched and sort of gotten to know preparing for this show, I've seen that you've really been very intentional about using music as a tool for parents to share their faith. And so for that, I think you've really stepped into a new chapter as a grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. What have you been up to?
Well, life is busy around the Smith house. I mean, obviously, it's the new norm a little bit because the norm for years was raising 5 children, and raising 5 children with me being on the road and getting back, and jumping on a plane, landing at midnight, and driving carpool the next day. I did that for 13 years. And now all my kids are grown up, they're married, and now they're having kids. We're 14 grandkids, and another one on the way.
Oh my goodness.
We're 7 and 7, so we'll break the tie again. 7 boys and 7 girls. So we're all just really, really close, and we love being together. We all really like each other, which is really awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, we were just like any other normal family. I mean, the kids fought when they were little and all the kind of stuff. It's so fun to watch your kids become best friends as they've gotten older. So I love being G-Daddy. That's what they call me.
G-Daddy.
G-Daddy,
Nice.
G-Daddy, yeah. And they call Deb Nana. And it's awesome. And we love when they're over.
What are the ages of the grandkids?
The
now?
oldest is 11.
Okay.
And then the youngest is almost 9 months old.
Wow.
So
That's quite a range.
it is.
Yeah.
So when they all come over, it's the beautiful chaos, man. It's great, but it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Right.
And, and then they all leave, and I went, I look at Deb and going, what just happened for the last 3 hours? But it's all good though. It's just an awesome thing, and it's a beautiful chapter for us.
How's it different being a grandparent versus being a parent?
Well,
They leave.
Yeah,
That's
they
what-
leave, and it's not as hard, being a parent and getting to bed, nightmares, whatever they're going through, you have to be there 24/7. And as a grandparent, you don't. But I would say as a grandparent, though, we pray a lot for our kids, So to me, I feel like I'm parenting on some level,
Sure.
but it's a different kind of deal, It's just more being G-daddy, and I look forward as they get older and become teenagers, what that's all going to look like, I hope to live I want to live a long life just because I just want to see them grow up and be there for them.
Do you see the way you and Deb parented coming out in your kids now, and you're like,
absolutely. I mean,
so what
watching my girls
Yeah.
do what Debbie did, and it's sort of like a deja vu thing. It's sort of epiphany when you see Whitney either maybe correcting the kids or her demeanor, and I'm going, oh my gosh, that's my wife, which is cool.
Yeah.
And
a
then,
lot of
or
those
maybe I
things you
see
didn't
that.
necessarily tell them.
Say
They're just
again?
modeling. They're not necessarily going off of what you guys told them to
No,
do. They've
no.
picked up, and that's
It's
how important the modeling
It
thing
is.
as a
I'm
parent.
telling you what. Actions speak louder than words. You can talk and teach, and there's room for teaching and there's room for correction. But I'm telling you what, they watch every move you make, and and I certainly didn't do everything right. But I think if you would, interview my kids like a one-on-one, I think they would all tell you that they were more important to me than my career.
Oh, see, now I love hearing that. That I think for parents out there, there's always that tension between making sure they're providing, taking care of their family, versus having the time to spend with them. And I think that tension's really strong for dads.
Yeah.
So for you to say that, looking back, is such an encouragement. And I think there's a lot of guys who need to hear that right now.
Well, yeah, I agree. And, sometimes I think, we've got dads who maybe didn't have the model that I did. I felt like I had the best dad in the
Your dad
entire
was
world.
amazing.
He was just incredible and went to heaven in November 15 and still grieving on some level with that. But I think I'm so much like my dad because my dad modeled what a good dad and a good husband
awesome.
is, So, some guys can't break the generational curse. They come from abusive dads, and that's a whole other level of just trying to break through that and trying to break that curse. It's really interesting because I have a lot of these young kids coming up to me who have young families who are in the music business, and we live a very strange and wonderful life. It's just so different. We don't get up at 7 and go to work and like a lawyer or a doctor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have strange hours. But just trying to figure. They all want to know how'd you do it. How do you do it, or how'd you survive success? And so I think it's a real challenge because I think they sometimes get a little off center about, I got to provide for my family. I got to provide for my family, and they're gone 200 days out of the year. And I'm going, you know what? That doesn't work.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. Yeah.
It's not sustainable. And I got to pay the bills. Well, you know what? Get a smaller house. Change your lifestyle. Because it's more important that you be there. First and foremost for your wife, but for your kids as well.
Man, I love to hear stories like that of heritage you're describing. I can see it in your eyes as you're talking about your dad.
Yeah.
Just that connection, the transfer of faith that was done so well.
Yeah.
And now you are transferring your faith, not only to your kids, but to your grandkids with this new project. And I read a little bit of the press release just about the fact that you've taken sort of your hit songs, you've sort of turned them now over to these grandkids in lullaby. Tell me, what made you decide to try that?
I've always wanted to do a children's record for a long, long time, even when my kids were young. But your career is thriving, and you're just trying to figure out where you fit all that in. So I knew at some point down the road, maybe if the people stop buying my records, maybe if people stop coming, then okay, I'll make the children's record then, But thankfully, they're still coming. I'm blessed beyond measure, and I thank you, God. But I think the grandkids, I think that's what I think reading these books to my grandkids when they spend the night these last 5, 6, 7 years. I'm going, I need to write a book. Maybe it's time to do that lullaby record. You know, so it's a long story, but we felt like the time was right, and we felt like we needed a partner. Someone who really understands the whole kids thing, you know, and Mike Naraki from VeggieTales and Larry the Cucumber. We pulled him in, and he has just been so much fun to work with, you know. So he helped sort of develop these characters, Eddie Bear and Sleepy Puppy and Sandy Lammy,
I love Sleepy Puppy.
Yeah, Sleepy Puppy's awesome. And then just trying to get your kid. It's a book just that has lots of faith element in the book, you know. But we're just trying to get your kid to go to sleep. Who doesn't want a resource to try to get your kids to go to sleep, you know? Because sometimes that's difficult, you know. So we've got the book called, you know, The Nighty Nights, and then we have the lullaby record. That's they're sort of a companion, but you can buy them separate. So fun putting the lullaby record together. Tyler, my son, one of my sons, my composer, produced that.
That's
record.
Cool.
Yeah,
All in the family.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
That's cool. You know, I'm a recent grandfather. I have a 9-month-old grandson. Both my girls got married last year, about 4 months apart. Just decided it was time.
There you
go. So I'm that sort of gushing grandpa. I only have one. You have 14, about to have 15. So I would be out of control if I had that many.
Well, you're off to a good start.
Well, so all of a sudden I have a squirrel. Like I could chase this whole discussion as far as we could go with it, because I could see myself reading these books, listening to these songs with my little Micah. I know a lot of our audience have grandchildren or small children of their own. And to just know that there are new resources out there that are being developed that come from a great place, a really healthy place spiritually, that are appropriate for all ages. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. That's good stuff.
Yeah, we're excited. This is probably the first book of many to come. You know, we're starting off with 3, but this is the first one, and so, we're gonna continue to develop these characters. You know, this Eddie Bear, Sleepy Puppy, Sandy Lammy, and we'll see what's in store for them in the future. So
it's awesome.
It is awesome. It's going to happen to you, and then you're going to line up. You're going to be like, Michael, could you?
Here. I'm anxious I'm anxious to get there at some point, but not quite yet. I want to go back to something that you said that I think is so critical. You talked about the way you and Debbie raised your kids, and it was passed on to you. And you see these other people coming up through the industry, and it is a crazy, crazy industry. There's a lot of crazy career paths, though. What do you say to the dad who is tempted? And you said one thing, get a smaller house. But what do you think there's something, as you look back on your life, that you think you did right in relation to what you said earlier, that your kids were before the career? And there's some fundamental things that you saw your dad do that you picked up on. But when you're giving advice to somebody that didn't have that modeled for them, what are some specific? Because I look at my life, and my dad, I have a relationship with him, but career, in our case, ministry. We were a missionary family. And I think that happens a lot if you're in ministry. You feel caught up in the calling to the detriment of your family. So speak to that a little bit, because I think that's a key factor.
Well, and that's the temptation of getting caught up in your calling and neglecting your family. And there's something wrong with that picture.
Was it a discipline for you that you did, or was it just come?
Watching my dad the way he was with my sister and I just wanted to be like my dad. And I knew that it was important that I'm there, that I'm present with my kids. And I remember Deb and I talking, when the whole thing took off, and I was opening for Amy Grant, and all, you just felt like there was the wind at your back, and because when I finished that first record, I remember going, "Thank you, God, I got to do one record. My dream came true. If I never get to do another record, thank you, God, I got to do one." And then 2-3 years later, you just feel this thing, sort of momentum going. And then I remember Debbie and I sitting down and talking and going, "You know what? There is more chance of us being a casualty than not, so we're going to make some rules." And I said, "I'm never going to be gone more than 2 weeks from my family, from you and the kids." That's just
ground rules.
It's a ground rule. And even if I have to cross the pond and come back and cross the pond, and I was never gone more than 2 weeks. Maybe one time when I was in Australia, when our flight got canceled or something. But I mean,
But as a rule of thumb,
we just
the board.
did it, and I came home and I flew home a lot, and I did that whole carpool thing, getting home late. Joey knows about all those crazy trips, coming home late at night and driving carpool at 7:20 the next day, So I think it was that, and then I think I think you got to have a, whatever you want to call it, your church, your tribe, your small group of who you walk in this journey with.
Yeah.
The ground you.
And common ground with people who your value and who love God and want to finish well and want to do the right thing and don't want to ever see your family come apart.
Yeah.
And we've had that group of people. We've had 6-7 couples, that have walked together for 27 years.
Wow.
I call it it's our little church. It's all our small group, that we've just been walking life together, and we've been through a lot of tough times, and we've lost a few people. I think about Bill Lee, my great friend running for governor, and lost his first wife, who was my wife's best friend, in a horseback riding accident. 4 kids affected by all that. Just like and just walking through that stuff. And so there's going to be stuff that's going to happen, and so you've got to have a team of people versus being a lone ranger. If you're a lone ranger, you're going down.
Which is a temptation for guys a lot, is to do this on their own.
Yep. I can do this.
And I know you have a very...
I can do this.
We all... I mean, that's kind of like the macho thing. We don't need anybody.
I can do it.
We'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And I know, I remember the first time I encountered you, we had the privilege of working together a bit. And I remember when I first, just kind of on the periphery, would hear about, well, Michael's coming back after every show. I remember going, gosh, that must be exhausting, because I know that you would leave the stage, you get on a plane, you come home so you could be here in the morning, and you go back out. And I was thinking, that's crazy. Why, that, but in retrospect, now that I'm kind of like 30,000 feet and going, that was wisdom. And I know a lot of what you credit is how strong Debbie was as an anchor at home.
Yeah.
Keeping you grounded and keeping priorities in place. I'm interested to talk to a wife out there or a mom out there that knows that her husband is just trying to do his best to support the family, but she's feeling kind of left out. Were there some ways that Debbie let you know, like, hey, maybe we're getting a little out of whack, that you can share with moms out there, like, hey, try this?
Yeah, I know there were times that she felt alone.
I think that's called a glare.
Yeah,
Is it called a glare?
I think that's a glare.
I don't
It's
mean to
called
put
a
you
long
on.
glare. I do remember this, which like I never ever did this again. I remember, she was home and she just had the third. This was Tyler, and I'm in Hollywood doing some TV show, and I'm out by the pool, and I'm calling my wife, hey, what's going on? I'm out here laying out by the pool in Hollywood. Bad choice. Bad choice of words. You just don't.
I'm changing diapers at home.
Yeah, you know what? I think for the wives, I think communication is the key. Just even if maybe he's not communicating, just communicate. Just communicate and just support. And more than anything, pray for your husband that he will love me like Christ loved the church. And you can't make him do that.
Right.
But I just think, it's so funny because Deb and I, when we did have arguments, even if she was wrong, I would always say I was sorry before I went to bed. Because I just wanted to be, because I'm a peacemaker, I just wanted everything to be okay. So I think if you've got two people who just will do anything just to make amends, and just the love is that deep, whatever it takes. You know what? Hey, I blew it. I say for both husbands and wives, if you made a wrong choice, if you made a bad decision, just say it. I screwed up. I didn't mean it. Yeah. I didn't mean it. I said it that way, and just confess and communicate. And what happens with couples is that they argue, and everybody's going to stand their ground, and then the divide gets wider and wider and wider, and then all of a sudden, months later, it's really wide, and then all of a sudden, 6 months later, you're in trouble. And that's Debbie and I never did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so encouraged to hear those stories, because I think you said something really specific. You said the kids have to be important, but my wife has to be most important. I think I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty close to what you said. I think for a lot of couples out there, I think they can get out of balance over investing in the kids,
Right.
where their entire life sort of rotates around them.
Right.
And they forget that they're a couple,
Right.
that there's a nucleus to the family.
Yeah.
And that's so wise of you to notice that, and God gave you that, and probably from your father as well, just modeling to you that your wife is the queen of her home, in
Right.
a sense, that
Right.
she's really the center of your affection. And
She's the first lady.
yes, exactly. The first lady. I love that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think for dads and for parents out there, our culture right now has them running really hard, plugging their kids into every kind of possible extracurricular activity.
Right.
I mean, even in my lifetime, I'm 48, and I can look at the difference between when I went through school, my kids went through school, and now even kids in the pastorate that I'm with, these guys are in everything.
Right.
I mean, they're never taking a break.
Yeah.
I mean, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is just packed with
Yeah.
something. And so what would you say to a family who's feeling just a little thin, stretched out, maybe
Yeah.
overcommitted?
Well, I think you can get your kids involved in too many things. You know. I think it's we want to see our kids thrive. You know, we're trying to get them out there and see what they do well, and then you want to support them, and then you get caught up in all of that, and then it's all about the kids. You know, and I think that's unfortunate because I've seen so many couples who are so into their kids, and all their kids grew up, and all of a sudden they're not married anymore.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so, I think it's just first and foremost, you've got to nurture the relationship with your spouse. You know, I mean, that is key, because if that thing falls apart, then it affects your kids, it affects their kids. As I mentioned earlier, the generational thing. I mean, we're going through a little thing with our family now that's really, really tough. You know, and we've had somebody who's left the family, left one of my girls, and it's just awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. And so, but it goes back to that. Where was Dad? Where was Dad? You know, and so, So, whatever it costs, you know, it's got to be a priority. You know, got to be priority. And it's been this September 37 years for Deb and I.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And no family's perfect.
No.
You've had your ups and downs, just like everybody.
We all blow it.
Our kids break our hearts sometimes, and then they make us really proud. But
Right.
if you don't have that central core, it's really hard to pass anything along.
Yeah.
Meaning. But I mean, I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth now. I mean, as being a single parent for 8 years and now being married again, it can be restored and things can be better.
Absolutely.
And, you know, but it's really important to nurture the relationship that you have at home with your wife first and foremost, even above career, kids, activities, whatever. That has to be sound.
Right. And you know what? And at the end of the day, I mean, the most important thing is Jesus got to be in the center of it all. I mean, that's sort of, of all the things that come our way, sometimes it's awful, like what we're going through now. And sometimes you have the most amazing things going on, but just trying to juggle all that, but just going back, guys, don't forget, what's the root here? What's the most important thing? He said he'd never leave us or forsake us.
That's right.
That's what he said. And so I believe that. So whatever it is that you're going through, he's got your back. He just got your back. So for me, I mean, I would not be sitting here talking to you guys if it hadn't been for Deb. She's extraordinary. She's just a godly woman, and she's just got this thing about her, how she carries herself. She's so humble, and and you know what? Her mom and dad were divorced when she was 8 years old. And she went through the battle with anorexia, and I think that was a part of 78 pounds senior in high school.
Wow.
Seen pictures, and so just fighting that approval. Thank God she got healed, and she's come out on the other side of it and turned into this extraordinary person.
Well, that's the amazing thing about God, is that even the brokenness, sometimes it's through the brokenness that something is born that is even
absolutely
bigger and brighter than you could ever imagine.
Yeah.
So
that's God. That's what God does.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Michael, it has been it's been fun just to hang out and
thank
listen to
you.
Thank you for your time, your insights,
You're
your
welcome.
wisdom.
You're
It's
welcome.
awesome. Robert, do you have any last thoughts or questions before we
That's
sign
the
off?
glare that I just gave you. Not Michael. Go ahead.
Wisdom from the Pope. Come on, here we go.
There's no wisdom. Michael, we're honored that you would spend time with us, and just I have so much respect and admiration for what you and your whole family have done, and just grateful for you taking time out to talk to us today. So
You're
thank
welcome. Thank you both.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in this week for Brilliantly Brave Parenting. And I'm your co-host, Pastor Brad Mathias, signing off with,
you. I'm Robert Beeson.
yes. Thanks everybody. God bless. See you next week.
Be encouraged, parents, you are not alone. In Paul's letter to his son in the faith, Timothy, he writes, "But I am not ashamed, for I know whom I have believed, and I am convinced that he is able to guard until that day what has been entrusted to me." Brilliantly Brave Parenting wants to be an encouragement and support that parents can rely on. Would you consider liking us and sharing us with a friend? As a part of the Tween Gospel Alliance, we are a nonprofit organization dependent on the support of friends like you. Thanks for stopping by. We'll be right here next week.
Well, we're very excited to announce a partnership with the guys that we know from Boise, Idaho, Robert.
Yes, we are. New release today. They're fantastic. Very, very relevant for what's going on. If you want to discover new music in the Christian realm, that's kind of the only place to go.
Yeah, and not only do they have amazing music and amazing reviews and just a lot of information about Christian artists, but they are creating with us a brand new devotional product. Call it IRL Resources.
Do you know what that stands for, Brad?
I found out
You did? What does it stand for?
it stands for In Real Life.
That's exactly right, Brad. Very good. In real life, because a lot of times we have these standard devotionals that we see, and we thought that it would be kind of cool to use their expertise in Christian music, couple that with actual scriptural and devotional thought that digs you deeper, not only into the song, but incorporates it into real life. And so it's a very vibrant and very awesome resource for families and for pastors.
Yeah, and so if you have a preteen or a teen in your home and you're looking for a new devotional to do weekly, we have a digital subscription online at irlresources.com. It's very inexpensive. The first study is free to check it out. There's nothing to lose. You should go there and see what's the latest thing in Christian devotional.
Absolutely. You won't regret it.
What our kids believe is going to define them for a lifetime. According to George Barna, by the age of 13, what a kid believes is what he'll die believing. For parents and for pastors, that's a frightening experience, especially if you've got an 11 or 12-year-old. At the I Shine Ministries headquarters, this became a huge priority in the last year. We partnered with the Tween Gospel Alliance to bring you a brand new resource known as the Shock and Awe Study Guide. And I'm here with one of the co-founders of this entire program, Robert Beeson. Can you tell us, what is the Shock and Awe Study Guide?
It is awesome. More than that? Yeah.
Okay.
The Shock and Awe Study Guide is a super cool thing that either a parent can do with their kid, or a youth pastor can do with their students, or a children's pastor can do with their students. And here's the cool thing about it. It is apologetics for kids. So it's the really huge evidence and thoughts of apologetics wrapped in a way that is really tangible and simple for kids to understand, answering 4 primary questions. And they are, what if there's a God? What if the Bible is true? What if Jesus is who he said he was? And what if I'm part of that plan? And we believe if you can answer those 4 questions and you are drawn through evidence proving those 4 questions, that really it's gonna establish a pretty unshakable foundation of faith.
That sounds very helpful, especially if you're a parent or pastor and you're concerned about the condition of your child's faith, what they believe, what the voices of culture are telling them. If that's you and you're interested, go to ishinelive.com and check out in our web store the Shock and Awe Study Guide. It has a digital cloud video base, so it's 4 studies in a small paperback volume for $9, and it has 4 videos that go with 4 studies. It can be done in a weekend, it can be done over a month, or it can be done bi-monthly, however you need it. It is a fantastic resource that I have used as a pastor in my own home church, and I have been impressed. So check it out.
Check it out.
I iShine is a faith-based ministry and media company that looks and feels a lot like a Christian version of Disney. iShine is more than entertainment. We're the producer of the largest Christian tween TV series in the world, a nationally syndicated radio show, a Nashville-based record label, host to multiple live tours and summer festivals, an interactive website and social media, and a provider of printed and digital devotionals, preteen Bibles, and church curriculums. But more than anything, we're a trusted Christian resource for parents and pastors. You can turn to us for all things tween. Check us out at ishinelive.com.